What does it mean by pressure group? Why there is a need a pressure group? What is the meaning of pressure group? So from party, now we are moving towards the pressure group. Parties and pressure group. Again, we are adopting a modern comparative approach of a comparative politics. And pressure groups, it means there are, how pressure means, sometime we know it is interest group. Interest group simply means because in a democratic society we are having the multiple interest. There is students are there, students, then peasants, there are students, peasants, and then traders, business association, and therefore various group exist in society, and each and every group want to protect their own interest, and therefore for protecting their own interest they have formed interest group. So interest group simply means in a society various groups. Society is comprised of various groups, various associations, and each and every association want to express their interest, and that is interest group. And look, in a democratic country, again the presence of interest group is inevitable because each and every person is having the fundamental right. And you know that how we can protect our fundamental right in a democratic country? First, to approach Supreme Court. First, we can approach Court of Law. And in a case, it's very costly. And second, see, to petition before the government, to raise our voice before the government. But it is better to raise the collective voice rather than a single voice. Therefore, association is more important. An association is made for furthering and preserving the interest of the people. Furthering and preserving the interest of group, and that is the meaning of interest group. But same is known as a pressure group. See, as far as interest group is concerned, that is more neutral and objective term. It's more neutral and it's more objective. But as far as the pressure group is concerned, it appears more negative. Why it appears more negative? Because pressure groups means they want to pressurize the government. See, that always happens. You also want to pressurize someone else. Sometimes we pressurize our family members for fulfilling our demand. Sometimes we pressurize the teacher too. Sometimes we pressurize our classmate. So that is a tactic that is applied by the individuals too. But pressure group appears more negative because they are pressurizing, they are putting pressures. They are putting pressure over government. And government means over legislature. Government means over executive. And government means over administration. They are putting pressure over administration, over executive, over legislature. Therefore, why they are putting pressure? It means why they are pressurizing the government for fulfilling their own demand, for getting something, and therefore critics says that the term pressure group is a more negative. It means there may be numerous interest group in society. In a democratic country, we can't ignore the presence of multiple groups in a society. But look, there are primary teachers association too. There is a primary teachers association too. And same time, there is a cow production group too. A multiple kind of interest group exists in society. There is a hawkers association too. But and farmers, look, recently farmers groups too. But is farmers and primary teachers association, are they capable to pressurize the government? See, whenever sometime student association, look, the students are there, farmers are there, they are making their own pressure groups, but most of the time you will feel the fact that they are they are having some interest, but they are unable to pressurize the government. But whenever bank employees go on the strike, government comes under the pressure. Whenever the workers of railway they are going to strike, that is a direct pressure of the government. And see, the people who are working in the electricity corporations, and when they are decide to go on the strike, and government directly come under pressure. Therefore, there are multiple interest group in society, but all interest group are not capable to pressurize the government. Therefore, people may can make a distinction between interest group and pressure group. And look, business association are most stronger pressure groups exist anywhere in the world. Business association or business groups like see in FICCI, SOCHAM. It means business associations are very stronger because of their financial capacity, and the neighbor involved in a demonstration, the neighbor sit on the road, but they are powerful, and that's the reason people say that every pressure group is interest group, but every interest group is not pressure group. Every interest group is not a pressure group, although the word is used interchangeably. But if you want to make a distinction, then people says that pressure group is more negative. Pressure group means there is a hierarchy in the interest group. Interest group means all interest group are almost same. And in that way, we have to talk about the theoretical interpretation too. But let's wait. I will tell you a theoretical interpretation regarding making distinction between pressure groups and interest groups. Because wherever we are talking of pressure groups, and then we have to accept the fact that all pressure groups are almost occupying the same place. No, hierarchy is there because business associations are more powerful. Business associations are more powerful. And then sometimes we also use, it means all pressure groups are interest group, but all interest group are not pressure group because business association are very powerful. Next, sometimes the word lobbying is also utilized. Lobbying. The term lobbying became very popular. And sometimes people also use influential group. Whether you use influential group, pressure group, lobbying, it's same. It is indicating the same. Lobbying means it is a kind of technique, pressurizing technique over the government. And why? Lobbying is a term become popular in US because lobbying is derived term from the Senate, lobby of a Senate. And look what happened. See, Senate is a very powerful institution in US, and whenever people try to influence the government, and they always try to approach a senator, and for approaching senator, they go in a lobby of a Senate. Therefore, the entire tactics of a pressure group is categorized as lobbying in US. Although technically, lobbying is a term which always, it means they want to allure. They want to allure only the legislators, not the members of executive. But that technical differentiation is not applied here. Therefore, as far as lobbying is concerned, pressure group is concerned, interest group is concerned, we are using it interchangeably, although you can make a difference. And how we can make a difference, let's see. Now we want to understand the theoretical concept of the pressure group, how they are important, how they come into existence. Look, then we will see the types of interest group. First, we want to understand the theoretical concept of pressure groups. And how theoretical? Or first we can understand types and then theoretical, or theoretical interpretation of pressure groups. As far as the theoretical interpretation of pressure group is concerned, There are three models. One is a pluralist. See, because pressure group is in fact evolved from the group politics. And group politics means this is a modern way to look the politics, because earlier politics always revolved around the state and government. Politics means something related to state and government. Politics means something related to the constitution. And as far as the group politics is concerned, pluralists are very important. Group politics itself speak that group is different from the government. Groups are different from the constitution. And see, pluralists are of the view that, and look, Robert Hall. See, Robert Hall, Madison. If we want to see the emergence of entire group politics, Arthur Bentel, David Truman, and thereafter Robert Hall, they are supporting the entire concept of pluralist model and group politics. Therefore, what Robert Hall says that, and not Robert Hall, but the all founding fathers of America, like Madison, Jefferson, for them, groups are very important. Pressure groups are very important. Interest groups are very important. And why interest groups are very important? If you look, according to Madison, Jefferson, they says that why interest groups are very important, because they ensure separation of power in society. That is very important. They ensure separation of power in society, because whenever we are realizing, whenever we are studying the pressure group, the same question comes in our mind that whether they are anti-democratic or democratic. And then Samuel Feiner, not Hermann Feiner. Samuel Feiner wrote Anonymous umpire. And anonymous umpire simply means, or anonymous umpire. In anonymous umpire, they wrote that anonymous means the umpire which is not visible. Anonymous means the umpire which is not visible, and they are not visible, they are not elected by the people, still they are influencing the government. So that is a non-democratic. But Robert Hall and the Madison, Jefferson, they are not supporting that view. They are supporting the view of Samuel Feiner, who wrote anonymous umpire. And here, they, on the other hand, Robert Hall and other people are saying that they ensure separation of power, and you know that entire American Constitution work on the principle of separation of power. And you have to realize the you have to realize the point that in Constitution, we have accepted the principle of separation of power. But whether the separation of power in Constitution is sufficient, and separation of power from Constitution means we have divided three wings of the government: legislature, executive, and judiciary. And we apply the principle of check and balance too. And nowadays, this separation of power exists in each and every part of the world. The concept of separation of power is essential for limiting, to maintain a kind of limiting over the authority in government, because there is saying power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Therefore, whoso occupy the power, they should not allow to concentrate the power in their own hand. That should be divided, that should be separated, and that is basic concept of separation of power, and that is inherent in our constitution. But and separation of power is essential for preserving democracy, and therefore pluralist model is of the view that similarly pressure groups are very essential for preserving democracy, because they never allow any one group to concentrate their power in the society. They never allow any one particular group to become more powerful in society. The Galbraith, Robert Hall, Galbraith also says that they work like a countervailing forces. And look, therefore student groups are there, peasants are there, teachers are there, and all the groups are working for more and more power. And in that process, they are somehow countering the influence of other, and they ensure democracy. And therefore, pressure groups are very important for a functioning of democracy. There is a pluralist model. In that way, there is a two alternative views. If you look, Samuel Feiner, they are of the view that no, they are a anonymous umpire. An anonymous umpire means pressure groups are not elected because the fundamental principle of democracy is the group, a person who is not elected, they can't exercise power. And fundamental principle of democracy is that whosoever is elected, they are accountable to the people. And why pressure groups are not elected by the people and they are not accountable to the people, then wielding power by the pressure group is undemocratic. There is a one opinion, that is by Feiner, Samuel Feiner. And here it is a other opinion. And this opinion appears more valid now because we can't imagine a society without pressure group, without interest group. We can't imagine that. And look, if we want to define the interest group in the context of pluralism, they believe that, and there is existence of multiple groups in society, and all groups are almost having the same power, and therefore it is essential for democracy. That is the first model, that is a pluralist. But let's see, other model of a pressure group or interest group is a corporatist model. And same time you remember the Marxist never believe in this kind of pressure groups. Although Marxist says that, like Ralph Miliband, Nikos Palanja, they are arguing that this entire kind of pressure groups, it is because of countering class politics. Because Marxists believe that society is only divided into two opposite classes, not in the multiple groups. Therefore, Marxist understanding of society is very much different from the liberal understanding of society. And look, what is a corporatist model? And it is a model which is later revised by Robert Hall and Charles Lindblom. Look, the corporatist model is propounded by Robert Hall and Charles Lindblom. They wrote a politics and market. Therefore, Robert Hall himself revised his concept of pluralist model, and later he accepted that the pressure groups are not exist like that, but the pressure group exists like that because here it is a business association. Because whenever we are drawing a picture that is hierarchical means, see, if we are going towards upward and there are few people and power is more, if we are going toward downward there are more people but less power. Therefore, later in corporatist model, it is said that business association are more powerful than other association, and in society, all pressure groups are not having same influence and same power like that was said by the pluralist model. See, in that way, if we are accepting the corporatist model of pressure group, then we have to realize the fact that somehow pressure groups are not favorable for democracy. Otherwise, they are only fulfilling the interest of few powerful. And democracy means power of masses, the government by masses. Only we are fulfilling the few powerful people, then how we can become powerful person, a powerful, how we can extend the democracy. And therefore, corporatist model, Charles Lindblom, Robert Hall, and Charles Lindblom, they wrote Politics and Market. They wrote Politics and Market and they somehow revised the earlier concept of pluralist model. But third model which understand the pressure group is entirely different. And for them, third model is neo-rightist model because see, what neo-rightist says that? What neo-rightist says that, see, they are more deriving their principle from economics and they said that collective bodies are not very important. It is more important that individual interest. Sometimes collective bodies become burden on the people. And look how collective bodies means how some farmer groups are claiming that they are representing the interest of all farmers. Therefore, see, for them, pressure groups are not beneficial for society. And what they say that individual preference and market is better for serving the interest of society. Therefore, neo-rightist model is different. Neo-rightist model is not at all favoring. Neo-rightist model is not at all favoring the entire concept of pressure groups, and for them, they can't claim for the fulfillment of interest of each and everyone, because preference of each and everyone is a different, and each and every person is driven by the principle of rational choice. And therefore, let the people go alone, and market is the best mechanism which allocate the goods and services for the people. And why we are unnecessarily intervening through the pressure groups, why we are adopting the policy of pressure. But we can't totally accept the kind of neo-rightist argument, because neo-rightist argument is more influenced by the principle of market. And here, while discussing our pressure group, how we can forget the principle of democracy, because in democracy there is a majority. Market run the principle of purchasing power. So how we can accept the neo-rightist model? And that is the reason no one model is perfect. No one model is perfect, but pluralist model and corporatist model are more nearer to the truth. More nearer to the truth. And see, it means first we have defined that is what is interest group. Then we have seen that what is the various models of pressure groups. And third, let's see, what are the types of pressure groups? What is the types and effectiveness of pressure groups? And both we have to see the same time. Next, what is the types of pressure groups and what is the effectiveness of pressure groups? Types of pressure group means first, associational. This is a classification by Almond and Powell. If you look Almond and Powell, he classified pressure groups in associational. Associational means student association, trade union, business group. They're all associational. They are known as a secondary social group because they are formed by people for fulfilling their own interest. And see, time and again we are repeating the fact that formation of union association is a fundamental right in a democracy. And then we can speak of a non-associational pressure groups. And non-associational are known as a primary group, and which are based on caste, religion. It means by birth, caste, language, religion. And it means they are not supposed to make, but we are getting the membership of these groups by our birth. Non-associational. Next was institutional. Institutional means the civil servants and the army officers, because they are the part of the government. Why they are known as institutional? Sometimes there may be confusion between institutional and associational. Look, associations like student union, trade union, business association, they are not part of the government. They are not part of the government. And they are powerful. But here institutional means they are a part of government. They are in the process of decision making. Automatically they become powerful. And last, it is economic pressure groups. Economic pressure group is more like a protest pressure group. They are not, they are more informal. It means their membership, they are more informal, and it is based on the entire protest. And they are more spontaneous. Like, see, on the issue of Nirbhaya, how the entire people of Delhi, they somehow came in front of India Gate and now started to pressurize the government for fulfilling their demand. So this is a kind of informal, spontaneous pressure group which appeared because of some certain particular issue, and after fulfillment that issue they suddenly disappear. And why this informal? Because whenever we are making the pressure group, we have to maintain the what is a process of membership, who is the officials, who is chairperson. That kind of formality is not applicable here because nobody is there in the president or secretary while we are protesting, while we are the part of crowd. And these are the 4 types of pressure groups that is defined by Allman and Powell. And see, other scholars too, Blondel and other scholars also define the type of pressure group, but their classification is more or less same. Name may be different. And then, because of type, then we have to make that whether they are effective or not, how they are effective, what is their role, and that role may be defined in terms of various factors. How? Because look, a role is determined by first form of government, what kind of government is there. Look, in US, in a presidential form of government, in US, pressure group are more powerful. And why? Because of the separation of power. If there is separation of power, automatically pressure group shall be more important, and that is written in your slide too. See how pressure groups are more powerful, and this is the explain effectiveness of pressure groups, political culture, political. See, this is written. Each and everything is written. It means if presidential form of government, then there is a more likelihood of powerful pressure groups. Look, it depends upon culture too. What is the role of pressure group? That will be determined by culture, and that is all about the comparison. It means we can't say that all the pressure groups are becoming powerful in all the conditions. Therefore, look, culture in US is more favorable for working of pressure groups, but culture in France is very much negative for pressure groups. In India, lobbying is considered something very negative. In France too. Therefore, in France and India, the people are having a negative attitude towards pressure group. Therefore, they are not effective. But in US, and they are known as a custodian of a democracy. They are known as ensuring for a separation of power in society. And it means culture also determine the effectiveness of pressure group. Then party system. Party system also determine the effectiveness of pressure group. How? In a case of a two-party system, pressure group are less powerful. But in case of multi-party system, automatically they became more powerful. Because why? Wherever power is concentrated in a few hands, their effectiveness will be less. But wherever there is separation of power, multi-party government, coalition government, so automatically they will get more chances for their bargaining. So party system also determine the fate of pressure group, culture also determine, form of government also determine. And look, like parliamentary form of government, federal form of government, they also determine the working of pressure group. In a federal form of government, because federal form of government is also depends upon the division of power, and wherever division of power is there, pressure groups find more scope to work. Pressure group find more scope to work. And see, this is the reason how their effectiveness is ensured because of these factors. And next, how we can maintain a distinction between pressure groups and see institutions structure that I have told you. How we can maintain a distinction between pressure groups and party system. And see, before moving distinction, I would also like to remind you that look, in developing world, in developing countries, which pressure groups are more powerful. Non-associational pressure groups are more powerful in developing world rather than developed countries because ethnic factors are more stronger in non-developing countries. And apart from that, business association are powerful enough in each and every political system. And third, you will ask the question that what is the status of a pressure group in a non-democratic country, in a communist system? See, there is a institutional pressure group is more likely to effective in a communist system. Institutional pressure group is more likely to effective in a communist system because in non-democratic system, associational pressure groups are not allowed to exist because group politics is not allowed, because what happens in non-democratic countries, only one party is there. Only one party is allowed to function, no protest, no opposition against the government. Therefore, their effectiveness is also depend upon the form of government and in society which they are working. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that no, non-association group are not at all exist in developed countries. No, there are Catholic association. They exist in developed world too, but their influence is less. But let's look India, caste association. They are very powerful, and they are non-association pressure groups. Caste associations are. It means this is comparison. How we can compare with the party system, political system, developing nation, developed countries, and in some, because economic pressure groups are more powerful in developing world, but look in developed country like France, and now in form of anti-globalization movement, this is also becoming effective in the developed world too. Economic pressure group, protest politics. Next, then how we can make a distinction between party and pressure groups. Last, in pressure group, how we can make distinction between party and pressure groups, political party and pressure groups. See, party means they always, what is their objective? To get power. To get power means form the government, to save the public opinion, to get the power. They pressurize, they influence the government, not get the power. They want to influence the government. That is their purpose. They don't want to become the part of government. And second, as far as a party is concerned, ideology, structure, that is very important. But for pressure group, ideology and structure is not important. They are more working on the basis of furthering their interest. So they are more look for interest rather than ideology. See, this is comparative. Although ideology also secondary for parties too, power is a primary. But always they try to show the project that they believe in some ideology. See, in terms of Ormond and Powell, what is a function of party? Interest aggregation. What Ormond and Powell says that what is a function of party is interest aggregation, but what is a function of pressure group is interest articulation. Interest articulation means expressing the interest, showing the interest. Aggregation means putting together all the interest. That is interest aggregation. Therefore, there is a difference between interest aggregation and interest articulation. And this again, there is a difference. And fourth, as far as pressure groups are concerned, see, membership of party is exclusive. It means we can't get membership of two parties same time, but membership of pressure group is inclusive. Inclusive. It means we can have a member of 2-3 pressure groups same time. There is no problem in that. It means, see, despite that difference, we can also assume that there is so many similarity too, because they are all part of practical politics. They are non-party. They are somehow not associated with the constitution, government, and somehow in India, pressure groups and political parties are very much affiliated with each other. And what happens? Sometimes a pressure group turns into a party, and sometimes what happens? A party change itself into pressure group. Therefore, relations are not very hard and fast, but these kind of differences we can point out. That what is the difference between party and pressure groups. And parties are very much essential for functioning of democracy. Pressure groups may be, may not be, although as of now they are. And with that distinction, we are finishing pressure groups